Hello everyone, welcome to this video. This is part 2 of my 2019 predictions. If you haven't watched part 1, I suggest you see it before watching this video. In part 1, I gave my predictions for the teams, and in this video, I'll give my predictions for the inter-team battles between teammates. 8 out of the 10 teams had driver changes for this season, and this means there'll be many competitive inter-team battles. In this video, I will look at the driver lineups for all 10 teams and predict which drivers will come out on top. So yeah guys, let's get started. Here is part 2 of my 2019 predictions. And remember, if you like my videos, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave your own predictions in the comment section below. I said I would feature some of your predictions in this video, but that will actually be in part 3. So first, I will look at the Williams inter-team battle of rookie George Russell and 34-year-old Robert Kubica. So, George Russell is coming to F1 after winning the Formula 2 title in 2018. Most of you guys probably know about Robert Kubica's comeback story. He's back in F1 for the first time since 2010 after almost being killed in a rally crash. Surprisingly, I'm picking George Russell to win this battle. I think he's fairly underrated. Lando Norris has been the most hyped rookie, but George Russell beat him in Formula 2, and I would say he's just slightly better. We all know how good Robert Kubica was before his accident, but I just don't see him being the same. Not because of his injuries, but because how long he's been away from the sport. Imagine Lewis Hamilton taking a break and coming back in 2026. Do you think he'd be able to compete with the likes of Leclerc and Verstappen in their prime? So I have Russell coming out on top. I think he'll just be a bit more consistent and will have more raw pace. Toro Rosso has a driver lineup of Daniel Kvyat and rookie Alexander Albon. Somehow, Kvyat is back at Toro Rosso. One can only imagine what will happen next. All we know is that when he does get demoted, Verstappen will win the next race. Kvyat's teammate Alexander Albon is a bit of an unknown, but he did finish 3rd in F2 behind Norris and Russell, so he isn't too bad. But I have Kvyat coming on top in this battle. We all know he's quick, but it was consistency and maturity that he lacked during his last spell at Toro Rosso. A year being a development driver for Ferrari certainly helped, and I think he'll be a lot better this season. So yeah, I have Daniel Kvyat winning this one. McLaren has an all-new driver lineup of Carlos Sainz and rookie Lando Norris. Sainz is a decent midfield driver, but not really anything more than that. Lando Norris is a rookie, coming into F1 after finishing 2nd in F2 behind George Russell. There has been a lot of hype surrounding Norris, who has been dubbed the next Lewis Hamilton. I think Norris will be decent, but I can't see him fighting for championships at McLaren as a rookie like Hamilton did. So I think Sainz will nearly win this one, but only because he's more experienced. Like Toro Rosso, Sauber have 2 new drivers in Antonio Giovinazzi and Kimi Räikkönen. And I don't want to waste your time, so I think that Kimi Räikkönen will come out on top, and I think most of you would agree with me. He is quicker, more experienced, wiser, and more mature. I'm not saying Giovinazzi is bad, but this is his first full year in F1, and beating an ex-Ferrari driver in Räikkönen will be quite a challenge. Hopefully he does better than Stoffel van Dorn did against Fernando Alonso. Now we have Racing Point. They have retained Sergio Perez and signed Lance Stroll. If you watch F1, you probably know Sergio Perez. He's a solid all-round driver and has no particular strengths or weaknesses, which makes him the ideal midfield driver that racks up points race on race. The other driver you probably know, but for completely different reasons. A lot of people don't like Lance Stroll because he's a paid driver. Admit it. We've all typed in Lance Stroll with a $sign at least once. If I had $1 for every time I've done this, I would have had enough money to buy Force India. A lot of people call Stroll spoiled, say he's only in F1 because of his dad who bought him a seat. Some people even say he's the worst driver on the grid. However, I think he will surprise a lot of people and will be better than expected. Let's be fair, even Lewis Hamilton couldn't get Stroll's 2018 Williams to look fast. I still think Perez will win the teammate battle, but it won't be the utter domination everyone thinks it will be. Haas have retained their driver lineup for 2019, being one of only 2 teams to do so. Their drivers, Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean, I would say are pretty evenly matched. Both are very quick, but often make dumb decisions or mistakes leading to crashes, like crashing under the safety car for no reason at all and blaming it on the driver behind. It was hard to pick a driver, but I think Romain Grosjean will narrowly come out on top. Last season was horrible for him, but hopefully he will have a better 2019 season. If he performs at his best, then he should be able to beat Magnussen. Both drivers are good, but I would say Grosjean has a slightly higher ceiling. Whether he reaches that level and can maintain it throughout the season is unknown, and that is what will determine the outcome of this teammate showdown. Okay guys, this is where it really gets interesting. Renault drivers Nico Hülkenberg and Daniel Ricciardo need no introduction. I already talked about this matchup in my previous video, and if you saw it, you know that it's one of the main battles to watch for in the 2019 season. So let me say right now, I think Ricciardo will only just win this one. He has race wins, pole positions, and has proved himself at a top team. We all know that Nico Hülkenberg is quick, but he's unproven against a top driver. It's unknown how good he really is, and that is why I have to give the edge to Ricciardo. I could be right, I could be wrong, but one thing I know for sure, it's gonna be close. Red Bull is a bit more straightforward. They have a lineup of Max Verstappen and Pierre Gasly. I think most people would agree with me picking Max. He will undoubtedly get #1 driver treatment at Red Bull, and we all know how good he is. Some people have been saying that Gasly is massively underrated, and this could be the case. But even if Gasly is better than expected, I can't see him beating a driver of Verstappen's caliber, especially if Gasly is a #2 driver. Both of these guys are young and are out to prove themselves. So it will be a very exciting lineup, and I think there will be a bit of friction between these two drivers. Gasly will give Max a hard time on some occasions, but I still have Verstappen winning this one comfortably. Now we get to Ferrari, and you probably know they have the most exciting driver lineup on the grid of Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. It's a talented young upstart going against a proven champion. I already talked about this in my previous video, but if you don't know why a combo of drivers like this will generate some fireworks, just look at some past lineups similar to this. I don't think the rivalry will get that heated, but a rivalry is inevitable. Both Vettel and Leclerc know this, but F1 drivers have very bad memory and they seem to forget everything discussed outside the cockpit when they get into the car. I can see a few incidents here and there, but I think team principal Binotto is confident enough to keep the situation in check. So who do I have winning this battle? I'm gonna have to go with Sebastian Vettel. I think they will be evenly matched on speed, but Vettel's experience will help him, and being familiar with Ferrari will give Vettel the edge over Leclerc in the first 3 or 4 races. And finally, we have defending champs Mercedes, who have retained their driver lineup of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. We all know that Hamilton's gonna win. He's out of Bottas' league, and to say that he's slightly favored by the team would be a huge understatement. The only thing uncertain is how much Hamilton will beat Bottas by. I think it will be closer than last season. Bottas will certainly be better than in 2018. But at the end of the day, it will still be the same 2 to 3 tenths per lap. And once you add in the wingman factor, it becomes quite a one-sided team battle. You can't even call it a battle at that point. But it's what Hamilton and Mercedes want. Hamilton gets his wingman, Toto Wolff doesn't have to deal with another Hamilton-Rosberg situation, and Bottas gets a drive at a top team. It's a win-win for everyone at the end of the day. So guys, those are my predictions for all of the inter-team battles. Some are easier to predict than others, and I definitely won't be 100% accurate with my picks. Like I said before, with so many teams changing their drivers, there are many exciting pairings throughout the grid. Hopefully you enjoyed part 2. In part 3, I will give my Drivers' Championship predictions, and that one will be me on camera. And remember, if you want a shout out, comment your predictions and they will be featured in my next video. As always, thanks for watching, hopefully you enjoyed it. Bye!